You know, after more than 35 years of practicing medicine here in the US, what weighs on my heart the most is not the serious cases I've treated in the hospital, but the very ordinary conversations I've had with my older patients. Many of them don't come to me because they're gravely ill. They come because their bodies feel slower, their bellies are growing, their sleep is restless, and most of all, they feel like they're losing the freedom to truly live inside their own bodies. There was a patient of mine named Margaret, 72 years old. She once told me, "Doctor, I don't fear wrinkles. I don't fear gray hair. What I fear is waking up in the morning with a heavy belly, a tired body, and no longer wanting to go outside and walk with my husband." Have you ever felt that way? A full, uncomfortable belly, shallow sleep, and that quiet worry about your own health. It doesn't just steal your comfort, it steals your joy in daily life. Modern science now tells us that a rounder belly after 50 or 60 is not just about appearance. Very often it's a sign of visceral fat, the fat that hides deep inside, wrapping around the liver, pancreas, and intestines. Silent but dangerous, it quietly raises the risk of diabetes, heart disease, even memory loss. And the scariest part? You don't always see it, you don't always feel it, until complications suddenly arrive. But I want you to imagine this. Every night as you sleep, your body is not simply resting. It is more like a miraculous factory, working silently to repair, to cleanse, to restore. Your liver is filtering the blood. Your brain is sorting memories. Your immune system is rebuilding its defenses. And if you know how to support your body at the right time, especially before bed, you can turn those quiet hours into a time of fat burning, inflammation reducing, and deep healing. Another patient of mine, James, 68 years old, a retired gym teacher, shared his story. After retiring, his belly began to grow, his blood pressure crept up, and his sleep grew restless. I suggested something very simple, not medicine, not intense exercise, but simply changing what he drank before bedtime. Warm teas made from herbs that have been trusted for thousands of years. At first, he thought it was nothing, but after a few months, he returned to my office with a smile I'll never forget. His belly was smaller, his mornings were lighter, and best of all, he had found joy again in taking long walks with his wife. That reminded me of something important. Sometimes the smallest daily habits, done with consistency, bring the greatest transformations. And in today's video, I want to explore with you 10 kinds of tea, quiet companions of the body, that can help you not only reduce belly fat, but also reclaim restful sleep, peace of mind, and strength that age seems to have taken away. Now, I won't talk about green tea because you've already heard enough about that. Instead, I want to share with you other teas, less talked about, but often even more powerful against visceral fat. Each tea has its own story, its own gift. Some reduce inflammation, some calm stress, some support the liver, others stabilize blood sugar through the night. And this isn't just theory from textbooks. These are real experiences I've witnessed in hundreds of my patients. Real people with real struggles who found real improvement through something as simple as a warm cup of tea before bed. I know what you might be thinking. Can a cup of tea really make a difference? I understand. We often look for big solutions, magic pills, but sometimes it's the simple rituals, the quiet act of sipping tea at night, that our bodies crave the most. So let's walk this journey together. From golden turmeric with black pepper to deep red hibiscus, from calming sage to fiery ginger with lemon, to horsetail cinnamon, dandelion, and even some unlikely friends like peppermint, chamomile, and lotus leaf. Each tea I'll share with you not only the science, but the stories and experiences that I believe, at this stage of life, you'll understand more deeply than anyone else. And before we begin, I want to ask you, how old are you today? Where are you watching this from? And how has your health changed in recent years? Please share your story in the comments. I truly want to hear it, because your experience may be the very inspiration someone else out there is waiting for. Someone trying to live healthier and happier after 60. My dear friend, let me take you on a little journey through some humble cups of tea, simple, familiar, yet carrying a power we often forget. Turmeric tea with black pepper. I want to begin with a golden cup, often called the gold of the earth. Turmeric. You might know turmeric as a kitchen spice, but when you stir it into hot water, add just a pinch of black pepper, it becomes a gentle medicine for the body. I remember one of my patients, Carol, 66 years old. She had struggled with arthritis for many years and often complained about her lower belly being hard as stone. When I suggested she try turmeric tea each evening, she laughed. Doctor, how could a little cup of tea beat decades of illness? But only a few weeks later, she returned with a sparkle in her eyes. Less inflammation, less bloating, and mornings that finally felt light and comfortable again. Science explains this beautifully. Curcumin in turmeric is a powerful anti-inflammatory, but it needs piperine from black pepper to be absorbed. So suddenly, a common spice becomes a nighttime guardian for your liver, blood sugar, and belly fat. Hibiscus tea. Have you ever seen a cup of tea so deep red it looks like a ruby? That's hibiscus. I often tell my patients, drinking hibiscus is like bringing a garden of flowers into your body. One study showed hibiscus can actually reduce waist size in people struggling with belly fat. But what I remember most is Frank, a 70-year-old man who always felt embarrassed about his belly. Every time he went to a class reunion, friends would tease him, "You've aged so much because of that belly." He didn't try hibiscus for vanity, but because he wanted to stay healthy for his wife and children. After 3 months, not only had he lost a few inches from his waist, but he said something even more powerful. "I feel confident again. I can walk with my grandkids without feeling weighed down." Hibiscus doesn't just look beautiful, it's rich in anthocyanins, compounds that help the body burn fat even at rest. It also gently helps release excess water. That's why you can wake up with a flatter belly and more flexible body. Sage tea. Now picture this, a restless night. You lie in bed, your mind racing, your heart pounding, your belly bloated for no clear reason. Does that sound familiar? Over the years, I've seen how cortisol, the stress hormone, becomes a stubborn culprit behind belly fat after 50, and sage tea has a remarkable ability to soothe cortisol. One of my patients, Linda, 69 years old, carried a heavy load of worries. Her husband had heart disease, her children were busy, and she held all the anxiety inside herself. Each visit, her waistline had grown larger, even though she wasn't eating more. When I suggested sage tea in the evenings, within a few weeks she was sleeping deeper, worrying less, and yes, her belly began to shrink. Sometimes our belly isn't only about food, it's about the weight of our worries, and a simple cup of sage tea before bed can be a whisper that says, "Enough for today. It's time to rest." Ginger with lemon tea. There's a tea that's spicy, tangy, and warming all at once. Ginger with lemon. I call it the little fire in the night. Have you ever felt like your stomach is a cold stove, heavy and sluggish, especially after dinner? That's often a sign of slow digestion. And this is when a slice of ginger with a squeeze of lemon can spark the fire again. Ginger helps the body generate gentle heat, burning calories lightly, while lemon stabilizes blood sugar and prevents new fat storage. One of my patients, Robert, loved eating dinner late at night, but after he began drinking ginger lemon tea about an hour before bed, he told me, "Doctor, I wake up with a lighter stomach. I no longer feel like I'm carrying a rock inside me." Simple, inexpensive, and easy to do. Sometimes good health doesn't require anything fancy, does it? Horsetail tea. The name sounds unusual, but horsetail is a quiet friend to the liver and kidneys. Rich in minerals like silica and potassium, it helps the body flush out excess water and toxins, reducing bloating so your belly doesn't stay round from water retention. I think of Mary, 75 years old, who often told me, "Doctor, I try so hard to lose weight, but my belly never shrinks." After testing, I realized much of her problem was water retention and poor detoxification. I suggested horsetail tea a few times a week. Some weeks later, she called me, her voice joyful. "Doctor, my pants fit again, and I didn't have to punish myself with strict diets." Sometimes a big belly isn't all fat. It's simply your body holding on to what it doesn't need. And now I want to pause and ask you, as you listen to these stories, do you see yourself in any of them? Margaret waking up heavy every morning? Frank losing confidence because of his belly? Or Linda, whose worries seem to make her belly grow? Because I believe that at 60, 65, 70 years old, health is not just numbers. It's about how you feel each morning when you open your eyes, whether you feel light, free, and at peace in your own body. And these simple teas may just be a bridge that brings you back to that feeling again. In the next part, I'll take you through the remaining teas: cinnamon, dandelion, peppermint, chamomile, and lotus leaf. And I believe one of them will surprise you, because sometimes what we think of as just a weed in the garden turns out to be the very key to our health. My dear friend, we've already journeyed together through golden turmeric, deep red hibiscus, calming sage, and the fiery warmth of ginger with lemon. But there are still a few more cups of tea that I believe will make you smile when you try them. Cinnamon tea. Imagine stepping into a cozy winter kitchen filled with the sweet, warm aroma of cinnamon, the scent that carries memories of Christmas mornings long ago. For me, cinnamon is more than a spice. It's a companion for healthy aging. Science shows that cinnamon helps stabilize blood sugar, preventing the body from storing fat, especially belly fat. I think of Susan, a 68-year-old patient with type 2 diabetes. When she added cinnamon tea to her evenings, her nighttime blood sugar stabilized, her sleep grew deeper, and her belly no longer felt painfully bloated. A cup of cinnamon tea before bed feels like lighting a small candle, warming the room and warming your body from the inside out. Dandelion tea. You may have once thought of dandelion as nothing more than a weed growing by the roadside, but in traditional medicine, it has always been seen as a healing herb, especially for the liver. James, a 72-year-old patient of mine, had elevated liver enzymes, a round belly, and constant fatigue. When he began drinking dandelion tea a few times a week, his liver enzymes dropped, his belly eased, and he told me, "Doctor, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my body." Isn't it amazing? Sometimes the things we see as worthless, a weed in the yard, turn out to be the very key to restoring health. Peppermint tea. Have you ever finished a meal and felt bloated, uncomfortable, unable to lie down and rest? That's when peppermint tea can feel like a true savior. Peppermint soothes the digestive system, relieves bloating, and refreshes the breath. Margaret, one of my patients, began drinking peppermint before bed. She laughed and told me, "Doctor, not only is my belly lighter, but my husband loves that I wake up without morning breath." Health is not only about your waistline. Sometimes it's about the little joys, the small things that make daily life feel lighter and more pleasant. Chamomile tea. I cannot end this journey without mentioning chamomile. Many people think of chamomile only as a sleep aid, but it offers more than that. Chamomile calms the hidden inflammation, the little fires inside the body that slowly expand the belly without us even realizing it. One small study showed that those who drank chamomile regularly had lower levels of inflammation and slept more deeply. But what I remember is Helen, 75 years old, who struggled with chronic insomnia. After drinking chamomile, she told me, "I don't just sleep better, I feel a peace in my soul." Sometimes what we need is not just treatment, it's a little peace, so the body can heal itself. Lotus leaf tea. Finally, let me share with you a tea with an Eastern spirit, lotus leaf tea. Across many Asian cultures, lotus leaves have been used to reduce cholesterol and lighten the belly. When I suggested this tea to a few of my American patients, they were surprised by the results. Michael, 65 years old, had high cholesterol. After 2 months of lotus leaf tea, his blood tests improved significantly. With a smile, he said, "Who would have thought a simple leaf from a lotus pond could help me feel so healthy?" It reminded me that nature always hides little gifts for us, if only we are willing to receive them. Closing thoughts. My dear friend, we have just shared 10 cups of tea, each one a story, a lesson, a small doorway, back to a body that feels lighter, freer, more at peace. I don't expect you to drink them all at once. I only hope that on some quiet evening, you'll pour yourself one cup, sit down, breathe deeply, and let your body feel the change. Because at 60, 70 years old, health is no longer about chasing numbers on a scale or forcing yourself into harsh diets. It's about living gently with yourself, loving your body as it is, and waking up each morning able to say, I feel well, I feel at peace. So next time you stand in your kitchen, ask yourself, which tea will I choose tonight to give myself a lighter belly, a deeper sleep, and a calmer heart? And if one day you try and you notice a change, I hope you'll come back and share your story. Because your story may be the very inspiration someone else is waiting for, as they too search for a healthier, kinder life after 60. If you found these stories helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I truly want to hear your journey, because health is not only about medicine, it's about connection and the hearts we share along the way.